Hey guys, tonight we slip quietly into the foggy, gaslit streets of London, 1908, where poets wear badges and anarchists lurk in the shadows, plotting chaos like it's a terribly fashionable party. You probably won't survive this without questioning your own sanity, because reality here is less a steady path and more a twisting labyrinth of paradoxes, masks, and whispered threats. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and local time in the comments. I'm curious where in the world you're cozying up to this story. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You are Gabriel Syme. Imagine yourself in a dim police office, smelling of ink and damp paper just after the dawn of a new century, feeling the weight of a strange mission landing on your shoulders. You were a poet, yes, but not just any poet. Someone who believed in order and law, a man who sees the world through a lens of careful lines and rhythms. Yet, here you are, drafted into the Secret Service, tasked to infiltrate an underground world you only vaguely understood, the anarchists. Historically speaking, the early 1900s were a hotbed of political unrest. Europe simmered with revolutionary fervor. Russia's 1905 revolution had just happened, and London, though seemingly proper, was no stranger to secret plots and shadowy societies. The police were stretched thin, facing threats from groups who wanted to blow up the status quo, literally and figuratively. What you might not know is that some of these anarchists were not just political radicals. They had a flair for the theatrical, almost performing their chaos like avant-garde artists. You find yourself walking through a London waking up under a gray sky, the streets slick with rain and early morning grime. The gas lamps still flicker uncertainly, casting long, trembling shadows on the cobblestones. Every breath you take carries the faint scent of coal smoke mixed with the sharp tang of wet leather and fresh ink. It's a city on the brink, beautiful and dangerous all at once. Your first order of business: meet a curious man named Lucian Gregory, a poet like you, but wrapped in mystery and contradiction. He is said to be connected to a secret society whose members take code names of the days of the week. You, Gabriel Syme, have been assigned the code name Thursday. The idea of days as identities feels oddly poetic, as if time itself is a weapon in this secret war. Here's a quirky tidbit to keep you awake. Historians still argue whether the real anarchist movements were more about actual political upheaval, or just a kind of theatrical rebellion against society's suffocating norms. Think of it as punk rock, before punk rock was cool, loud, chaotic, and slightly confusing. You trudge through a narrow alley toward the dimly lit cafe where the meeting is to take place, your footsteps muffled by the damp cobbles. The air tastes faintly of stale beer and pipe smoke. The place smells like secrets and old wood, with a hint of wet dog, the kind of smell you only find in places where people plan dangerous things but also drink tea in polite intervals. You find a seat near the back, watching faces flicker in the low light, each shadow potentially hiding an enemy, or a friend disguised as one. Your mind flickers to poetry, that strange art that tries to capture the chaos of life in neat verses. You wonder if poetry is a weapon, or just a mask like the ones you'll have to wear. By the way, did you know that crocodile dung was once used as a kind of sunscreen in ancient Egypt? Just a little weird fact to mull over while you wonder how many masks people wear. Not just in secret societies, but in everyday life. The clock ticks steadily as you steel yourself, feeling the weight of a mission that might change everything, not just in London, but in the world of ideas and chaos. The line between friend and foe blurs. Everyone you meet could be a secret agent or a true believer in destruction. Historians still argue whether the real power lay with the anarchists or the very authorities who hunted them. You light a cigarette, the smoke curling in lazy spirals above the table. The night is young, and your story is just beginning. The man who was Thursday, they say, and tonight you become him. You don't get much time to settle before the secret society's curious structure reveals itself. Imagine a room heavy with cigarette smoke and whispered threats, lit only by a flickering oil lamp that throws everyone's faces into strange relief, half shadow, half glare. You're introduced to the Council of Seven, and immediately you realize these aren't your average anarchists plotting aimlessly in dingy basements. This is a tight-knit, almost ritualistic brotherhood. Each member carries, the name of a day of the week, Sunday through Saturday. But with one glaring twist, you are Thursday. Yes, you, the poet-turned-policeman, now part of this cryptic lineup. The idea behind the council sounds more like something out of a gothic novel than real life. 7 men, each representing a day, secretly steering the chaos that threatens to tear London apart. The very concept has an eerie, mythic quality, almost like an ancient cabal passed down through centuries. Except their weapons aren't swords but dynamite and subversion. The paradox stings. You're supposed to be part of this council, infiltrating them. But as you glance at the men around the table, a chilling thought creeps in. You might not be the only spy. Who's playing who? The council convenes in a nondescript townhouse nestled on a quiet street, where behind closed doors, ideas heavier than the London fog take shape. You listen to speeches mixing high philosophy and cold calculation. One member quotes a line from Nietzsche, another recites verses from Shelley, chaos dressed in the language of poets and philosophers. It's almost beautiful if you don't. Think about the bombs hidden under the tables. You find yourself struggling with the strangeness of it all. The anarchists, these supposed destroyers of order, seem obsessed with structure. Days of the week, rules, secret codes. It's like a dance choreographed to chaos. You wonder, is this just theatrics? Historians still argue whether anarchist groups of the era were genuine political threats or elaborate performance artists pushing society's buttons. And here's a quirky detail. The council's members take elaborate oaths not to betray one another, swearing on documents sealed with wax. An old-fashioned ritual in a world rapidly modernizing. Wax seals, mysterious handshakes, secret passwords. It's like stepping into a spy novel before spy novels were even a thing. You find it amusing that in an age of telegraphs and telephones, secret societies still cling to such analog drama. The night deepens. You observe the personalities behind the code names. Sunday is a solemn man, almost priest-like in his calm. Monday, sharp and restless. Tuesday, fiery and unpredictable. Wednesday is a shadowy enigma you haven't yet met. Friday is jovial but dangerous. Saturday, the eldest, carries a weighty eye. Presence. Each embodies their day with quirks and hidden motives, making the council a strange microcosm of time itself. The council debates their next moves with fervor. Bombings, propaganda, strikes, all designed to dismantle society's order, piece by piece. Yet, listening closely, you detect cracks beneath their confidence. Paranoia seeps in and occasional glances hint at distrust. Masks slip, if only briefly, revealing men weary of their own cause or terrified of being unmasked. You keep reminding yourself, your mission is clear. Expose the anarchists from within. But it's complicated by the bizarre loyalty and camaraderie that arises in secret groups. You're caught between being a spy and, strangely, part of the fold. The boundaries blur in a way that feels almost dreamlike. A little historical seasoning. The early 1900s saw a surge in secret societies worldwide, from the Freemasons to revolutionary cells, each wrapped in rituals and codes. This gave rise to a cultural fascination with spies and conspiracies, a fascination that still colors our stories today. You step outside the townhouse, the cold London air biting at your skin. The street is quiet now, but inside, the wheels of a dangerous plan keep turning. The Council of Seven, your new colleagues, your enemies, your mystery, holds the city's fate in their hands. Or maybe, just maybe, fate itself is playing their game. You are Thursday now. It's a strange thing to say out loud and even stranger to feel in your bones. You wake up in your modest London flat and for a moment forget the gravity of your double life. But then it hits you like the rattle of a carriage over cobblestones. You're no longer just Gabriel Syme. You're an undercover member of the most secretive anarchist council in the city, and your day, your very name, has arrived. The strange logic of the council's schedule means that today is yours. Meetings, discussions, surveillance, all swirling around you like the fog over the Thames. You're expected to lead certain plans, review supposed bomb targets, and critique revolutionary pamphlets like you're judging a high school essay contest. There's something almost absurd about it. You, a policeman, now giving notes on how best to phrase an anti-police manifesto. You dress with care. A gray suit with a red handkerchief, the same color signal worn by the other council members. You fasten your collar, adjust your cuffs, and step out into a world that has no idea who you really are. A quick historical pit stop. In 1908, London was grappling with political extremism. The British government had begun tracking radical groups more closely, leading to the rise of intelligence networks that laid the groundwork for agencies like MI5. Spycraft wasn't yet James Bond slick, but it was no less dangerous, clumsy, desperate, and very, very real. You walk through a quiet park to the next council meeting, your shoes crunching on scattered leaves. The cold air sharpens your senses. Each passerby could be an ally, a follower, or a tale. Your nerves buzz with anticipation, like the string of a violin tuned just a little too tight. Inside the meeting hall, the tone is different today. Sharper, darker. The leader, Sunday, always an imposing figure in his black coat and unreadable expression, calls the meeting to order with a clap that echoes longer than it should. He speaks of a bomb to be placed in the heart of Paris. The room stills. As Thursday, you're asked to assess the logistics. You lean over the blueprints, nodding slowly, pointing to weak spots in their plan like a seasoned tactician. The irony isn't lost on you. You're here to stop this exact act, and yet you're now helping it look more professional. There's a moment when Friday looks at you too long. His smile falters. You feel something in his gaze, suspicion or maybe curiosity laced with doubt. You smile back. The tension breaks like a frayed string, but the memory of it sticks to you like fog on your coat. Over lunch, you sit with Tuesday, who smells like cigars and old cologne. He speaks of freedom with an almost religious intensity. True liberty, he says, is the right to destroy anything that claims to be absolute. You nod, biting into a sandwich while silently wondering how many sandwiches he's poisoned in his lifetime. And here's something deliciously strange. One of the council members owns a taxidermied hedgehog named Bertrand that he swears once belonged to a philosopher. Is it true? No one can say. Historians still argue whether this was some kind of symbolic protest, or just one more bizarre affectation of people who live too long in the shadows. That evening, you write a report by candlelight, your pen scratching urgently over thin paper. You send it off through a secret channel to your superiors. Every detail matters. One mistake, one delayed message, and lives could be lost. Or worse, your cover could be blown. But as the candle gutters and the shadows shift, you pause. A strange question rises in your mind. Are you infiltrating them, or are they slowly infiltrating you? Their passion, their logic, their love of disorder all have a twisted kind of poetry. It's seductive. You're fighting for order, but what does that mean exactly? Your eyes drift toward the fire, watching the flames curl and collapse. The council you've joined is terrifying, yes, but it also pulses with raw, human energy. These aren't monsters. They're thinkers, artists, lunatics. And in a way, they believe they're saving the world. You lay your head down, but sleep doesn't come easy. You dream of clocks ticking backward, of city streets unraveling like threads, and of a great red sun rising over a world where nothing is quite what it seems. You wake, heart pounding, and remember, you are Thursday now. You're not exactly sure when it happens, but one moment you're simply another figure in the fog, and the next, you're being led through a cramped alleyway toward a door marked only with a chalk scrawl, a tiny anarchist symbol, half scrubbed by rain. It's the kind of detail the average passerby wouldn't notice, but to the right eyes, it might as well be a glowing sign. You give the code knock. 3 taps, pause, 2 taps, then one more for luck. The door creaks open, and you step inside a dim cafe that smells like boiled cabbage and burnt espresso. This, you learn, is a known anarchist haunt. One of those rare places where whispered threats are passed over stale croissants and plans to blow up Parliament get scribbled on napkins. You take your place near the window, where the condensation turns gas lights into watery halos. The other council members trickle in, one by one, dressed in their drab disguises, bowler hats, cloaks, anonymous brown coats, and greet each other with that same strained politeness you might find at a funeral or a PTA meeting. It's strange how mundane revolution looks up close. Over bitter coffee, conversations unfold like origami, flat, cryptic, and folding in on themselves. Friday leans across the table, murmuring something about a new railway junction being symbolically perfect. You nod, trying to keep your face neutral, even as your stomach turns. Then comes a small but vital historical fact. These anarchist cafes weren't just fictional inventions. Throughout Paris, London, and even parts of New York, such meeting places really existed, undercover hubs of revolutionary energy. Some served coffee, others served ideas sharp enough to shatter empires. Across the room, a young man named Richter, a self-proclaimed nihilist who wears his hat indoors and eats sardines from a tin, launches into a rant about how calendars are tools of capitalist oppression. You resist the urge to point out that he still uses one to remember his dentist appointments. This is how anarchism feels from the inside. Contradictory, noisy, somehow both dead serious and laughably absurd. One moment, you're discussing the metaphysics of freedom, the next, someone's arguing over who forgot to pay for the tea. The council's meeting begins quietly, behind a curtain in the back of the cafe. You're led there by Saturday, who smells like old tobacco and damp wool. The room itself is spare, no adornments, no flags, just a circular table and a single oil lamp. The shadows on the wall flicker like they're trying to escape. Tonight's topic: identifying weak points in London's infrastructure. Bridges, trains, telegraph stations. It's grim work. Each location is a potential story of sabotage, of chaos, of death. You take notes, all the while reminding yourself that every detail you gather might prevent a disaster, might save lives, might save you. But then, mid-discussion, Tuesday throws a wrench into things. He proposes a radical idea. What if the next act of terror isn't physical but symbolic? What if they announce a bombing that never happens, just to stir panic, collapse trust, and make the public turn on its own government? You lean back, struck by how modern that sounds. A psychological operation, decades before the phrase would even exist. Historians still argue whether such mind games were ever truly employed, or if they remain the fever dreams of political fiction. The meeting ends with strained handshakes and clipped farewells. You leave the cafe just as the rain begins again, heavy and cold and relentless. You walk alone under the gaslight, your coat drawn tight and your mind racing. The plan they discussed could change everything, even if it's never acted upon. Because fear, real or imagined, is contagious. As you pass a line of carriages waiting outside a theater, you catch a flicker of motion behind you. A figure? A shadow? It's gone before you can turn fully. Paranoia clings to your spine like a wet shirt. You duck into a side street, heart thudding. The world suddenly feels unreal, like a paper backdrop ready to fold in on itself. The buildings seem too still, the windows too empty. You wonder if someone's watching you, or if your nerves are just fraying under pressure. Time to vanish for the night. You head to your safe house, tucked behind a bakery that smells of warm loaves and almond paste. The irony isn't lost on you. Plotting against terrorists one floor above, people kneading dough and gossiping about weather. You sit at the small desk, lit only by a stub of candle, and write another report. Your handwriting is cramped, rushed, but clear. You don't mention Richter's sardines, you do mention the symbolic bombing plan. You pause before signing your name, then simply write, Thursday. Before bed, you reflect, how long can you keep this up? How deep does one go before the act becomes the reality? Are you still pretending, or have you become part of the machine you were sent to dismantle? That night you dream of mirrors, endless mirrors, and in each reflection, you're wearing a different face. Morning hits like a slap from an old friend. Uninvited, familiar, and impossible to ignore. The sun, such as it is in London, doesn't shine so much as it leaks through your curtain, pale and damp like tea that's been steeped one too many times. You rise, pull on your coat, and tell yourself this day will be quieter, that today maybe you can just observe. No chance. As soon as your boots hit the pavement, a note is thrust into your hand by a street urchin who vanishes before you. Can even scowl. The handwriting is flourished, unmistakable. It's from Sunday. Meet me immediately. Bring no one. The address is cryptic. An old zoo in Regent's Park, long abandoned. Its cages rusting and its shadows growing longer by the year. You make your way there, each step echoing a little louder in your ears. You half expect to be ambushed by lions. When you arrive, the place is eerily silent. A few pigeons scatter. Somewhere in the distance, a swing creaks in the wind. You enter through a bent iron gate and find Sunday sitting calmly on a bench, feeding breadcrumbs to nothing. No birds, no animals, just breadcrumbs falling to the cracked ground like a silent snowfall. Sunday doesn't speak at first. He just watches. You eyes as heavy as cannonballs. When he does finally speak, it's with a tone you've never heard from him, almost amused. Tell me, Thursday, have you ever wondered what the opposite of chaos is? It isn't order, it's stagnation. You nod slowly, unsure of where he's going. And then comes the curveball. He knows about your real identity, just like that. No preamble, no suspense. He simply says, "You're a policeman, a good one, I imagine. But you're not alone, are you?" Your stomach drops like a stage trap door. You try to keep your face neutral. You play dumb. You stammer something about poetic metaphors and infiltration tropes. But Sunday just smiles, wide and hollow. "Everyone's pretending," he says, "and most of us have forgotten what we started pretending for." Then, almost casually, he reveals what should be an earth-shattering fact. Several members of the council, maybe even all, are also undercover. Spies like you, agents from different countries, opponents of chaos masquerading as its priests. Suddenly your enemies start looking an awful lot like co-workers. This is where the whole world tilts under your feet. It sounds ridiculous, right? But not impossible. During the early 20th century, governments were so terrified of revolution that they often placed multiple spies within the same organization. Sometimes, without realizing, the others were doing the same thing. Historians still argue whether certain anarchist cells were composed entirely of spies chasing each other's shadows. The revelation burns in your mind as you leave the zoo. You don't remember saying goodbye to Sunday. You're not even sure. He's still on the bench when you look back. You head back to your flat, where the wallpaper suddenly seems to pulse with some invisible tension. If everyone's a spy, then who are the actual anarchists? Is there anyone left fighting for chaos, or is this whole performance just a game of illusions? You stare into your mirror, looking for answers, and half expect someone else to stare back. That evening you receive another message. This one is unsigned. Just an address and a time. Against better judgment, you go. The building is a warehouse by the river, its windows shattered and filled with nesting crows. Inside, a meeting is already in session, but it's unlike any council meeting you've attended. These people are strangers, real anarchists, dirty fingernails, hollow cheeks, eyes that don't blink enough. You try to blend in. You nod at the right moments. You listen. They're planning something. Something big. And these people? They aren't quoting poetry. They're talking bombs, railways, and police deaths. It's no intellectual exercise. It's real. Your blood turns to ice as you realize this is the real threat. And you've spent the last few weeks tangled in a web of double agents and theater, while these fanatics moved in silence. You manage to escape unnoticed, slipping out as their chants rise behind you like smoke. You sprint across the bridge through puddles that mirror your own fear-stricken face. You need to warn someone. But who? Who isn't pretending anymore? You remember Sunday's words. Everyone's pretending. You're not sure he was wrong. Before. The night ends, you write one final line in your notebook. Just 4 words, we're all in costume. You barely sleep. When dawn arrives, it doesn't feel like a beginning, it feels like a countdown. You trudge through the gray morning mist, feeling like a man halfway between roles, somewhere between law and lawlessness, between performance and panic. The city moves around you, unbothered and unknowing. A newspaper boy shouts headlines about a small riot in Belgium. A fishmonger groans as he lifts his barrels. Life inexplicably goes on. But you're unraveling. You make your way to the secret rendezvous point, a warehouse loft above a violin repair shop. There, waiting among the shadows and the scent of rosin, is another council member, Dr. Bull. You've always thought of him as the most unreadable of the group. Thick spectacles, thick mustache, a laugh that's a bit too forced, and today, a question that nearly knocks you off your boots. How long have you been a police officer? You freeze. Say nothing. Dr. Bull chuckles, then lifts his glasses and reveals a flash of something bright and metallic beneath them. A badge, just like yours. He's on your side. At least you hope he is. Turns out Dr. Bull has been playing the same game, just better. Quiet surveillance, subtle disruptions. He confirms your worst suspicion. Most of the council, maybe even all of it, is composed of spies, embedded agents, people pretending to be monsters in order to catch them. But now, the real threat isn't the council. It's the group you stumbled on by accident in that Riverside warehouse. The ones without cover names, without coded handshakes. The ones who aren't pretending. Bull shares something else, something that sharpens the air. Sunday may know everything, every identity, every motive, which makes him impossibly more powerful than any one of you. You leave the violin shop with your thoughts screaming over each other. Is Sunday a double agent? Triple? A puppet master? Or something else entirely? Historians still argue whether secret police operations during this period ever reached such absurd levels of overlap. The truth may be less glamorous, but the paranoia was absolutely real. The British Special Branch in the early 1900s sometimes tailed their own agents, unsure of who was reporting to whom. You meet with Dr. Bull again that afternoon at an underground reading room hidden beneath a bakery. Yes, another bakery. London seems to have a surplus of both bread and espionage. There, in the scent of yeast and sawdust, you both review what you know. He confirms that he too infiltrated the council to prevent anarchist violence. He even shows you his own stash of intercepted communications, codes, letters, blueprints, proof. Together, you form a fragile alliance, a partnership of shared nerves and cold tea. You both agree the next step is confronting Sunday. But how? You don't even know what Sunday is. He's always seemed off. Not in the lunatic way some anarchists pretend to be. More like someone watching from a height the rest of you can't reach. Detached, all-knowing wry. So you devise a plan. You'll test Sunday, push him, try to expose whether he's truly an anarchist, a spy, or something even more peculiar. But first you need allies. You start tracking the rest of the council. One by one, you follow Tuesday through the alleyways of Whitechapel, Shadow Wednesday into a cryptic apothecary, Corner Friday in a foggy train station, just before he boards for Liverpool. And what do you find? They're all like you, all undercover, all operatives, each with their own assignments, their own handlers, some British, some French, one from, believe it or not, Prague. You all stare at each other like mismatched socks, suddenly realizing they're part of the same drawer. It's laughable. You're supposed to be enemies, but you've all been chasing phantoms, interrogating shadows, staging revolutions against yourselves. One of them, the thin and nervous Wednesday, even brings out a photograph of his actual superior. It's your superior, too. You all blink. There's a long silence. Then someone, probably you, starts laughing. Not just a chuckle, a full broken belly laugh that spills into the walls. It's either that or scream. Someone mentions that this would make a terrible opera. You suggest it already is one, just without music. Now, united by your mutual confusion, you decide to confront Sunday as a group. The council, once a seven-headed hydra of chaos, is now a parade of exhausted undercover agents, walking side by side like bewildered siblings. You, Thursday, lead them through the back streets of London like a marching band without instruments, determined to confront the one figure who may not be wearing a mask at all. On the way, one agent tells you about a real-life case from 1894, a French anarchist who tried to blow up the Chamber of Deputies using a bomb disguised as a clock. It failed, but the incident inspired dozens of false copycat plots, most of them fabricated by the police themselves to justify more surveillance. You, Dodd, nothing surprises you anymore. By nightfall, you arrive at Sunday's private villa, a large house surrounded by tall hedges and the kind of silence that makes your skin crawl. The door swings open before you can knock. Sunday is waiting. He sits at the head of a long dining table, covered in empty plates and a single flickering candle. He gestures for you all to sit, grinning like someone who's been expecting guests at a party you thought you were crashing. He says nothing, and that silence, it's the loudest sound you've heard all day. You sit at the long table, stiff as a fork, while Sunday, enormous, serene, unreadable, regards you all with the calm amusement of a man watching cats try to solve calculus. He laces his fingers together, his hands resting on a tablecloth that's too clean, too perfect, like it's never seen a real meal. The rest of the council, no, the rest of the agents, take their seats slowly, warily. It feels like the Last Supper arranged by a magician. And Sunday? Sunday just smiles like he's got the punchline to a joke you didn't know you were part of. "You've done well," he says at last. His voice is smooth, almost lazy, but with something sharp underneath, like a velvet glove hiding brass. Knuckles. So many infiltrations, so many secrets, so many fine performances. You lean forward. "So which side are you on?" He laughs, not mockingly, not cruelly, almost gently. "Ah, Thursday." Still asking the wrong questions. The Kaim. Others exchange glances. "You know the truth now? You're all spies, all imposters in the same twisted masquerade." But Sunday remains the one unknown, the one figure in this chess game who doesn't belong to either color. And so finally you ask the right question. "Are you a spy?" He looks at you, long and quiet. "No," he says, "I am not." "Then who is he?" The silence is broken only by the soft tick of a grandfather clock in the corner. You hadn't noticed it before. You're not sure it was there before. Sunday begins to speak slowly, spinning a tale that's half biography, half parable. He talks about order, about chaos, about how both forces are part of the same current, and how those who claim to fight either often end up serving both. You find yourself hanging on every word, not because he's hypnotic, though he is, but because you want so badly to believe that he'll make it all make sense. But the more he talks, the less sense it makes. He speaks of the council not as a revolutionary cabal nor a task force of undercover agents, but as a kind of metaphysical joke, a riddle wrapped in trench coats. "You were not chosen to destroy anarchy," he says. "You were chosen to understand it." A cold shiver runs down your spine. Historians still argue whether G.K. Chesterton, the author of this surreal tale, was mocking the entire concept of ideological absolutism. Was the man who was Thursday meant to critique political zealotry, or simply play with the absurdity of truth itself? Sunday lifts a glass of wine, not blood red, but a pale, almost colorless vintage, and takes a slow sip. You're not drinking. Then he does something none of you expect. He removes his hat. Underneath is not a wig or a horn or a symbol of allegiance. Just a head, just a man. Yet somehow the act feels more symbolic than anything that's come before, like a king disarming before court jesters. "We all wear disguises," he says, "even me." And just like that, the table erupts into chaos. Friday slams his fist down. Then who are you? Tuesday demands to know whether they've been used, if any of their efforts stopped real threats, or if they've been marching in a circle. Wednesday mutters something about mirrors and madness. Even Dr. Bull, normally so composed, looks shaken. He whispers, he's playing a longer game, one we're not meant to understand. And you? You say nothing. You're staring at Sunday, whose face remains unreadable. He stands slowly. Follow me, he says. You do. Because what else can you do? He leads you through a back hall of the villa, out into a moonlit garden. The night is bright, silver with mist, and the air smells like lilac and electricity. There's a wrought iron gate ahead, open, leading into a wooded path. You follow him through, one after the other, as the hedges grow taller and the path narrower. At some point, you realize something odd. You're no longer in the city. The gas lights have vanished. No sounds of horses, of chimneys, of humans. Just wind through trees and the rhythmic crunch of boots on gravel. Where is he taking you? You ask. He doesn't answer. Instead, Sunday turns and begins naming each of you by your real names. Your real names. Not just the aliases you use within the council, not even the ones you use with your agencies. Your birth names. Things no one should know. Private things. Forgotten things. How? Someone whispers. But no one dares repeat the question louder. You keep walking. The path dips, then rises again, emerging into a kind of hilltop clearing. From here, the world stretches out. Below, in strange and dreamlike ways, the layout of the land doesn't make sense. There's London, yes, but also Paris and Rome, and something that might be Jerusalem, all crowded into the same horizon. You've entered allegory, or madness. Hard to tell the difference. Sunday stops and gestures around you. You were never chasing terrorists, he says. You were chasing doubt, and you found it. You realize then, the council was never meant to be a weapon. It was meant to be a mirror, a labyrinth, a philosophical trap to force its members to question not just evil, but the structure of good. The implications are dizzying. Somewhere, probably, in a dusty Cambridge lecture hall, a professor is still giving a seminar on the novel's meaning. Some argue it's about the duality of man. Others see a theological parable, with Sunday as a kind of godlike figure. And some, the fringe types, claim it's just a long and deeply English joke with no punchline. You, standing here under the impossible sky, aren't sure anymore. Sunday turns back to face you. You wanted to find the enemy, but the enemy was never out there. It was always the mask. He begins to walk away again, this time toward the edge of the hill. The others stay frozen, and for the first time you wonder if Sunday is going to vanish, just disappear into the mist like he was never real at all. But he turns, smiles. Come, he says. The journey isn't over. You step forward. What else can you do? The others hesitate, but eventually they follow. The hill's edge does not lead to a drop or a cliff, but to a staircase. Yes, an actual staircase, winding down through trees that grow stranger with every step. Their trunks are smooth as marble, their leaves silver in the moonlight. No birds, no sounds, just the hush of soft footsteps and the brush of foliage against your arms. You feel like you're descending into the belly of a dream. At some point, though, time is meaningless now. You notice your thoughts growing quieter, not calmer, just muffled. Like your brain is wrapped in velvet. Sunday says nothing, and neither do the others. It feels like a funeral procession, but you don't know who's died, or maybe it's a wedding. Between sense and nonsense, you finally reach the bottom. There's a clearing, a single wooden table, 7 chairs. A banquet is already laid out. Fruit, bread, cheese, wine, olives. You'd almost laugh if your body wasn't too heavy. It's like a picnic arranged by a philosopher who moonlights as a ghost. You sit. Sunday sits across from you, once more at the head of the table. He doesn't eat. He watches. His eyes seem darker now, deeper, as if lit from behind by something not fire but idea. And then he says this: each of you was chosen because you believed chaos could be stopped. But have you ever asked, should it be? You don't answer. You can't. No one can. He gestures toward Tuesday. You, he says, once incited a mob just to find its leader. To Wednesday, you spread a false manifesto to flush out printers. To Friday, you sent a man to prison because he looked suspicious. To you, you lied to your own allies because you believed truth was too dangerous. He lets the silence settle. Then he says, you all became the thing you feared. But more elegantly, the strange thing is, you're not offended, you're relieved. At least someone sees it clearly. Here's the historical fact he's dancing around. By the early 20th century, secret policing and political surveillance had reached a kind of fever pitch in Europe. Not just in Britain, the Okhrana in Russia, the French Sûreté, even the Kaiser's agents in Berlin. Some entire revolutionary cells were created and staffed entirely by police. Literal figments of suspicion, chasing themselves. Sunday pours wine. For himself only. He raises his glass. To the illusion of control, he says, and drinks. You ask again, voice cracking. Then what are we supposed to do? He looks at you gently, almost like a parent. Rest. It hits you like a slap in the wind. That's rest? Dr. Bull stands. You're mocking us. Sunday doesn't respond. But the forest around you seems to shift. The trees sway without wind. The moonlight pulses like a slow heartbeat. You realize this isn't just a place, it's a metaphor given flesh. And Sunday, whatever he is, isn't just a man, or a spy, or even a symbol. He's the space between symbols. The space where meaning almost happens but doesn't. Fringe scholars, usually the type who smoke pipes and lose tenure, have argued that Sunday is not a person at all. He's the embodiment of cosmic ambiguity, the anti-answer, the riddle that asks you why you need an answer, and maybe they're right. He stands again, not slowly but with sudden weight. You've done what was asked. You've gone as far as men can go. Now you must decide whether to keep pretending or wake up. You blink, it's a trick, surely. But the others are vanishing, one by one. Bull, gone. Tuesday, dissolving like steam. Wednesday fades, and so do Friday and the rest. You lunge to your feet, shout, but your voice echoes back with 1,000 different tones. All yours, all not yours. Only Sunday remains, or something wearing his shape. He walks to you, puts a hand on your shoulder. It's warm, human, but it sends a jolt through you like a cord struck too deep in your ribcage. You were Thursday, he says, but only for a time. Names don't matter now. You try to step back, your legs won't move. Then he leans close, too close, and whispers, you are not dreaming, but you are not awake. And then he disappears, just like that. You are alone. Not in the forest, not at the table, but somewhere else entirely. You look around, you are in your room, the real one, or the remembered one. Bed, lamp, shoes by the door, morning light slanting through blinds that feel too straight, too symmetrical. You sit up, or you try to. Your body responds, but sluggishly, and then you see it, a mirror, your face. You are you, but you're also not. There's something in your eyes that wasn't there before, a knowledge, or maybe a wound. Historians still argue whether the man who was Thursday is satire, allegory, theology, or nonsense. The safest bet? It's all of them. Chesterton once said he wrote it in a fever. Maybe that's the only way to get to the truth. Delirium. You walk to the window and stare out at a world that is exactly as it was, yet now completely untrustworthy. Because the masks aren't gone. They're everywhere. Only now you can see them. You breathe, and for the first time since this began, you don't know whether to laugh or cry. You stand there for a long moment, forehead against the cool window pane, unsure whether to press forward or hide under the covers for the rest of your life. The city outside is familiar. Cobblestones, carriages, the sharp silhouette of chimneys, spitting lazy smoke into a dull gray sky. But every shape feels off. Not in a horror film way, more like someone swapped out reality with a near-perfect replica from memory. Everything's correct, but nothing feels right. You dress slowly. Your fingers feel clumsy, like they're not quite yours, or like the clothes you're putting on belong to a different version of you, one who never stepped into a surreal masquerade of philosophers playing at terrorism. You pull on your boots and pause halfway through lacing. What was the point of it all? The disguises, the fear, the chases through moonlit parks and shadowy villas. You step outside. The street greets you with its usual bustle. Newspaper boys yelling, horses clopping, someone arguing over the price of fish. Normalcy is doing its best impersonation of sanity. But now that you've seen behind the curtain, the act is a little too polished. You start walking. No destination. Just the kind of purposeless wandering that often leads somewhere unexpected in novels and nightmares. You pass a bakery, warm bread, golden crusts, laughter from inside. For a moment, you envy those people. They're in the world, still convinced it has edges and meanings. You've peeked behind the scenery and spotted the stagehands. Then, just past the lamppost, you see it. A figure. He's leaning against a brick wall reading a newspaper with perfect stillness. A top hat shadows most of his face, but you'd know that silhouette anywhere. Sunday, of course. You approach cautiously, like someone trying not to spook a bear. I thought you were gone. He turns a page without looking up. Gone where? You consider this. Wherever gods go when the curtain falls. He snorts. I told you I'm not a god. I'm not even sure I'm real. That's your department. Now. That lands hard. Why are you here? He folds the paper. To see what you do. You've been unmasked. You've faced chaos. Now you must decide whether to return to the world or remain above it. You blink. And what does that mean? He gestures at the city. Go back to work. Go back to your files, your revolver in the drawer, your morning tea and coded telegrams. Pretend the world makes sense. Or stay in this liminal haze, constantly second-guessing the shape of your own shadow. Sounds like a setup either way. But here's a curious thing. In the early 1900s, several real-world secret societies did recruit writers, poets, and theologians, not because they were good spies, but because they were good liars. They saw patterns where others didn't. They questioned reality instinctively, and sometimes that made them the only ones who could navigate the maze without going mad. You sit beside him on the low stone ledge. The sun is doing its best impression of afternoon. It's too yellow, too staged. You squint at the buildings. Are they flat, just painted scenery? No, don't go there again. You never told us the truth, you say, voice low. I didn't have to, Sunday replies. You brought your own truth with you. That's what the council was always about. Not enforcing order, testing it. You pick up a pebble and roll it between your fingers. Historians still argue, you murmur, whether you were the villain or the savior. He grins. Let them. Arguments are more fun than conclusions. A couple walks past, laughing. They don't see Sunday, or maybe they choose not to. You glance sideways. Are you still recruiting? His grin widens. Always. There's a pause. A soft breeze stirs the corner of the newspaper, then you say it, I want to go back. He nods once, no surprise in his face. Then go, but this time don't forget the joke. You stand. The city feels warmer, somehow. Still fake, but more forgiving. Like a dream that knows it's a dream and is doing its best to be kind. You return to your flat. The door creaks just the same. The coat rack is still leaning slightly. But now you notice things you didn't before, like the envelope on the mantel. The one you definitely didn't leave there. You open it. Inside is a card, a single line. This meeting could have been a poem, and beneath it, the old mark of the council. A sun with 7 rays, 7 men, 7 days. 7 masks. You laugh. Quietly. Then louder. Maybe this is what sanity feels like now. Not certainty, but permission to keep playing. The world is absurd. But at least now, it's absurd on your terms. And anyway, you've got work to do. There are Still anarchists out there. Real ones, maybe. Or people pretending to be. You're not sure anymore. Maybe it doesn't matter. Because now you don't fight chaos. You understand it. And in understanding it, you become something else entirely. You become Thursday. You wake up 3 days later with a headache and a telegram on your chest. Okay, maybe not literally 3 days, but it feels like it. You slept like someone who's been unpuzzled. Like your brain finally rebooted itself after too many dream sequences. Philosophical debates and surprise garden banquets with metaphysical metaphors. The telegram is short. 5 words. Parliament Street, midnight, come alone. You sigh. Of course, no rest for the semi-enlightened. By midnight, you're back in the fog. Parliament Street looks like a painting left out in the rain. Edges blurred, light refracted. Silhouettes uncertain. You lean against a gas lamp and wait. And wait. Then you see her, Lucian Gregory's sister. The poetess. The one with eyes like burnt velvet and the nerve to wear yellow in winter. She walks toward you without hesitation, as if this midnight meeting were as routine as morning toast. You're late, she says, though she's the one arriving now. You didn't say when you'd be here. Exactly. Her smile is maddening. You walk together, not quite touching, not quite trusting. The city is quieter than usual, like it's holding its breath. Somewhere in the distance, church bells toll midnight, though you suspect they're just doing it for dramatic effect. I suppose you think everything's over now, she says. You shrug. I think it's changed shape, or just slipped its leash. She stops beside the Thames where the water looks like melted pewter. I've been thinking maybe we were wrong about Sunday. You think he's the good guy now? No, I think he's the weather. Uncontrollable, sometimes beautiful, sometimes cruel, but always there. That sticks. That stings, actually. You watch the ripples on the river. What do you want from me? To remember. She looks at you directly, like she's daring you not to flinch. Everyone else will forget. They'll go back to their tea and their newspapers and their polite dinners. But you and I, we've seen the stage lights. We know the audience is empty. You look at her, really look, and you wonder, not for the first time, if she was ever a bystander in this story, or if she's been steering it the whole time. Real-world spycraft. Fringe theories suggest that some agents weren't just embedded in enemy circles. They created them, goaded them into existence. False revolutions, propped up by performance. It's not paranoia if it's profitable. She reaches into her coat and pulls out a file. Here, she says. Your next assignment. You blink. I thought I was out. You're never out, she replies, pressing it into your hands. You open it. Photos, reports, diagrams of bomb components. Familiar name, Dr. Bull. But he's gone, you say. She raises an eyebrow. Is he? You flip to the last page. There, scrawled in blue ink, is a poem, one you recognize. Because you wrote it, you look up. She's gone. The street is empty. Again, as if she evaporated. Maybe she was never there. Or maybe she's a part of you now, another voice in the inner council you carry inside your skull. You wander home with the file tucked under your arm and a feeling in your gut that's halfway between dread and déjà vu. At your flat, everything is still in place. The coat rack, the ticking clock, the envelope you never threw away. You sit and open the file again, but this time, you see it differently. Each page feels symbolic, as if the details aren't important. A suspect's name is less a clue than a metaphor. A coded message is less about national security and more about existential alignment. Historians still argue whether Chesterton's novel is political at all. Some say it's theology in disguise. Others insist it's a slapstick chase story wearing a bishop's hat. But most agree. It's a mirror. And depending on when you read it, you'll see someone different. You lie back on your couch and stare at the ceiling. The plaster swirls begin to look like clouds, or maybe smoke, or maybe they've always been faces. Are you still Thursday? Do the days ever really end? Suddenly the light bulb flickers, once, twice. Then you hear a creak in the hallway, footsteps. Measured. Slow. You grab the file, press your back to the wall, and wait. The doorknob turns, and in walks Tuesday, the real one, or at least the version you last saw being swallowed by metaphorical moonlight in a metaphorical forest at a metaphorical dinner. He grins. Still dramatic, I see. You drop your shoulders. Where have you been? Not where, when. He tosses you a pocket watch that's ticking backward. You give up. Sanity is clearly optional now. He sits in your chair, flips through the file, whistles low. So they want you to track Bull again? That's cute. He's dead. Tuesday. Shrugs. Everyone's dead until they're not. Haven't you learned anything? You lean on the windowsill and peer into the street below. A woman in a red hat is watching your building. You blink. She's gone. The council is never really disbanded. It just changes costumes. Tuesday tosses the file on the table. We've been scattered, but not broken. The game's just different, now. Fewer bombs, more poems. More what? He grins. Ideas. They're more dangerous anyway. That's true. You remember reading once that during World War I, the British feared not just spies, but pamphlets. Words were considered weapons, not for what they said, but for what they unleashed in the reader. You look at the file again, and for the first time, it doesn't feel like an assignment. It feels like a mirror. Because this isn't about who to chase. It's about why you're still chasing anything. You don't sleep that night. You try. You turn off the lamp, fluff the pillow, even hum a lullaby your mother used to sing. Something about roses and ruins. But your brain is sprinting laps in the dark, dressed in Sunday's waistcoat and wearing Tuesday's smirk. The file sits on your desk like a loaded question. What if this isn't just a case? What if it's the beginning of the second half? When the light creeps in around the curtains, you give up. You make tea, burn the toast, and by noon you're back on the streets, tailing the name circled 3 times in red ink. Dr. Bull. Bull, the spectacled absurdist who once embodied blandness so aggressively it became camouflage. Bull, who wore pince-nez like a badge of irony and chuckled like someone who'd misplaced the plot on purpose. You last saw him vanishing into a crowd of umbrellas, but now here he is, apparently alive and up to something again. You head to a place called the Electric Swan, a cafe for artists and eccentrics. The wallpaper's peeling, the scones are stale, but the conversations hum with discontent and caffeine. You sit near the back, eavesdropping on a man with a monocle debating whether language is a virus or a spell. You jot down a single line. Bull seen with a violin case. Didn't play it? Yeah, that's suspicious. You follow him out, he doesn't look back, just strolls through the alleys like he owns the negative space around him. You tail him for 20 blocks, through fog, market chatter, and the smell of roasted chestnuts. Finally, he ducks into a bookstore. You hesitate, then you go in. The bell tinkles overhead, too cheerful. Inside, it smells like ink and incense. Bull is gone, but the books seem to lean toward you. You browse. Titles like The Cartography of Chaos, How to Dissolve the Ego in 6 Easy Steps, and Thursday Revisited. Wait, what? You pull that one out. It's slim. The pages are blank except for one line. Time is circular, so is madness. You slip it into your coat pocket and leave. Back in the street, you're not alone anymore. A man is walking behind you. Too slow to be casual. Too close to be polite. You duck down a side alley. He follows, you turn, and stop. It's not a man at all. It's a boy. Maybe 12. Impossibly clean. Wide eyes. He hands you a folded scrap of paper and scampers off. You unfold. It reads, "Today is not real. Meet me where time sleeps." There's a crude drawing beneath it. Looks like Big Ben? You sigh. Of course, you head there at dusk. The clock tower looms above the skyline like an accusation. The tourists are gone, but something lingers. Something ancient in the chime, like the tick of a god's heartbeat. You slip around the back, into the maintenance door. You climb, spiral stairs, cold iron rails. At the top, a shadow waits by. The massive bell, Wednesday. He leans against the wall like he's been waiting since creation. You took your time, he says. I took a time, you reply. Not sure it was mine. He grins. I see you haven't gone full profit yet. You raise an eyebrow. That's Thursday's job, isn't it? His expression shifts. Serious now. There's talk of a new council. You blink. But we barely survived the last one. Exactly. He tilts his head. Now imagine what happens when the wrong people take the idea seriously. You glance out at the city. The lights flicker. Not electricity, belief. That's the thing. Wednesday says, the council used to be a parody of power. It held a mirror up to tyranny, but now people want the mirror to be a window. And just like that, it clicks. This isn't about stopping terrorists anymore. It's about stopping interpretations. Because once a symbol exists, anyone can wear it, even the wrong side. In the 1920s, real anarchists began to adopt symbols from literature, black flags, red stars, even lines of poetry as rallying cries. Movements often outlive their authors, and meaning mutates. Historians still argue whether Chesterton was warning us. Or daring us. Wednesday hands you a coin. Gold, sun emblazoned, 7 rays. It's happening again, he says, but differently. This time the mask isn't hiding a face, it's becoming one. You clutch the coin. Suddenly a deafening chime rings out. The bell. You wince. Wednesday is gone. Only the coin remains. You descend slowly, each step echoing with something more than footfalls. By the time you reach the ground, you already know where you're going next. The park. The one where you met the others before. The one where Sunday first smiled at you like God in a mask. But now it's your turn to decide if the smile means salvation or satire. You arrive at the park just as the evening mist begins its slow crawl over the grass, swallowing benches and lampposts like a soft gray tide. It's eerily silent. No laughter, no distant footsteps, no stray dog sniffing at the bushes. Just the kind of quiet that's too perfect, like the world's holding its breath. You pull your coat tighter, the gold coin warming your palm as a small reminder of Wednesday's warning. You don't know why you expect something exactly, but the heaviness in the air suggests tonight's no ordinary stroll. You walk deeper, the crunch of leaves underfoot loud enough to feel like a confession. Then you see them, 7 figures seated, in a circle beneath an ancient oak, their faces obscured by masks. Each mask a sun with 7 sharp rays, the same symbol as the coin, the same emblem that's haunted your steps since you joined this absurd secret theater. The masks gleam under the lamplight, eerie and immaculate, as if freshly painted for this very moment. You recognize some of the voices before you see the faces behind the masks. One laughs, a deep sardonic chuckle that echoes Sunday's signature irony. Another's voice is sharper, with the clipped edge of Tuesday's dry wit. The rest carry the same unsettling mix of calm and chaos. Welcome, Sunday says, his voice a velvet dagger slicing through the silence. You take your place in the circle, the coin cold again in your hand. Why are we here, you ask. To decide, says Tuesday. What comes next? You glance at the others, each mask a blank canvas, hiding intentions and secrets. The discussion unfolds slowly, a measured dance of words and half-truths. They talk of order and anarchy, of chaos as a tool or a weapon, of masks as both shields and prisons. One masked figure quotes an old line from Chesterton, "The poet is the only man who has no private world. All the world is his world." You find that oddly comforting, but beneath the poetry, the stakes sharpen. They're planning, not bombs this time, ideas, movements. A reshaping of society itself from the shadows. One voice, soft but steel, raises a question that stabs at the core. Can freedom exist without some form of control? It's the oldest question in revolutions and bedtime stories alike. The debate spirals. Historians still argue whether the council was ever truly anarchist, or if it was a subtle front for fascism dressed in bohemian rags. The truth slips like smoke, always just out of reach. You listen, feeling both participant and observer. caught in the uncomfortable space where philosophy becomes politics and paranoia tastes like prophecy. Suddenly a gust stirs the leaves, scattering papers and whispers alike. Sunday's mask tilts as if considering the wind's message. "You've seen the world's face and it's cracked," he says softly. "The question now is whether to heal it, break it, or let it shatter on its own." You remember your own reflection in the cracked mirror, the self that's both hunter and hunted, believer and skeptic. You glance at the coin again. 7 rays, 7 days, 7 masks, a metaphor or a mandate. The night deepens. The council murmurs continue. Somewhere distant, a church bell tolls midnight, a slow, sonorous echo that marks the passage of time. Or maybe it's illusion. You close your eyes, breathing in the damp earth and fading fog, and wonder how many of these men behind masks carry the same secret fear, that the nightmare might just be beginning. You step away from the circle with the weight of their words pressing down like a lead blanket. The damp park air clings to your skin, each breath tasting like forgotten promises and smoky ink. Walking home through the labyrinth of dim streets, you replay their debates. Control versus freedom. Order versus chaos. Masks hiding faces, hiding truths. It's a puzzle with pieces that bite back if you look too long. You stop outside a tiny curiosity shop, the kind of place that smells like old books and secret histories. The window displays a dusty globe spinning silently, an ancient clock ticking erratically, and a sign. Time to question time. You can't resist. Inside, an elderly shopkeeper with twinkling eyes and a crooked smile greets you without words. Instead, he hands you a strange carved box. It's heavy, cold, and etched with symbols that feel both familiar and alien. "Open it when you're ready," his eyes seem to say. You pocket the box, stepping back into the night's embrace. Later, in your room, you sit cross-legged on the floor and pry open the box. Inside is a small mirror, but not ordinary. It's cracked, its shards catching the lamplight and fracturing your reflection into fragments. You stare into the fractured glass. Each shard shows a different version of you. The hopeful recruit, the disillusioned skeptic, the conspiratorial hunter. It's unsettling and oddly liberating. This mirror feels like the story itself, fragmented, multifaceted, never quite whole. You recall a quirky historical tidbit you read once. In medieval times, broken mirrors were believed to hold pieces of a soul's essence. A shattered mirror was a metaphor for a fragmented identity. Historians still argue whether Chesterton's novel is primarily a political satire or a metaphysical allegory. Perhaps it's both, dancing on the edge between dreams and reality. As you contemplate the mirror, a soft knock interrupts your thoughts. You open the door to find a familiar figure, Lucian Gregory's sister, her eyes burning with urgency. "I need your help," she says simply. You nod, feeling the night's weight. Deep in the game is far from over. The nightmare continues. You follow Lucian Gregory's sister through twisting alleys that seem to fold in on themselves like a paper fortune teller, except less playful and more conspiratorial. The night is thick with fog, muffling your footsteps and blurring the world into a watercolor of shadows and whispered secrets. She moves with purpose, as if she knows the city's hidden veins and secret passageways better than you know your own reflection. Occasionally she glances back, a spark of urgency flickering in her eyes. Finally, you arrive at a hidden courtyard, a forgotten slice of London that smells of wet stone, moss, and the ghosts of revolutions past. In the center stands a fountain, its water frozen mid-spill, shimmering under a stray moonbeam. She turns to you. "This is where it begins," she says, voice low, urgent. "The final act of the council, or what's left of it." You nod, your fingers tightening around the cracked mirror still in your pocket. The fractured shards feel heavier now, like tiny weights tethering you to some uncomfortable truth. She pulls from her coat a small notebook, its pages filled with scribbles and diagrams. Somewhat chaotic, but undeniably brilliant. Dr. Bull, she says, isn't just a man, he's an idea, a virus infecting the mind of the city. You recall the violin case you saw him carry, the one that never produced music. Now it feels less like a container and more like a symbol, a metaphor for the silence before chaos. In medieval alchemy, the concept of the philosopher's stone was not just about transforming metals, but about inner transformation, the shattering and remaking of the self. Historians still debate whether Chesterton's work hints at a similar process, where order and anarchy are two sides of the same coin. You listen as she explains the council's new plan, to disseminate ideas so potent they could reshape society, from within, not through bombs or violence, but through words, symbols, and belief. It's the most dangerous kind of revolution, she says, the one that happens inside the mind. Suddenly, a distant church bell rings, its slow, measured toll a reminder that time is both a prisoner and a liberator. You feel the weight of the moment, the precarious balance between nightmare and awakening. The city breathes around you, alive with possibility and peril, and you realize that the true battle isn't fought with fists or gunpowder. It's fought with stories. You stand alone on the rooftop overlooking the city, the fractured mirror heavy in your hand, the gold coin warm against your palm. The skyline stretches out like a restless dream, towers and chimneys etched in twilight, a restless pulse beneath the stars. The air is thick with possibility, the same air that carried the laughter and screams of the council, the whispered promises of revolution, and the quiet despair of the lost. You think back to the faces behind those masks, Sunday's sardonic smile, Wednesday's grave warning, and the others whose intentions remain shadows. Each one a fragment of a larger whole, like the shards in your mirror. The city around you seems to hold its breath, poised between dawn and darkness, order and chaos, hope and nightmare. You remember the words from the cracked book, "Time is circular, you is madness," and realize that this journey, winding and twisted, was never just about a secret war or a hidden council. It was about understanding the masks we wear and the truths we hide beneath them. The paradox of freedom and control, laughter and fear, light and shadow. The story closes not with answers, but with questions that linger like smoke in the air. Historians still argue whether The Man Who Was Thursday is a political allegory, a metaphysical parable, or simply a dream dressed up as a nightmare. Maybe it's all three. You take a deep breath, letting the cool night air fill your lungs, calming the storm inside, and you understand that some stories never truly end. They just wait patiently for someone willing to listen, for someone ready to dream with open eyes. Now you let yourself lean back, gaze softening, heart slowing. The city hums beneath you, a lullaby woven from gaslight and secrets. You close your eyes and finally the nightmare fades. You did it. The tangled tale of The Man Who Was Thursday winds down now, softening from chaos into calm. Remember, stories like this aren't just puzzles to solve. They're mirrors reflecting the parts of ourselves we hide away. As you drift off, let the masks fall away gently and carry with you the quiet courage of knowing the world is as strange as it is beautiful. Sleep well.